yes, you are suffering from X, Y, and Z as a result of your sexual trauma, then they are not to be charged even a copay for those services. The government has recognized that this was a problem and was not responded to effectively, and is taking a stand both in the VA and in different things that they're doing within the Department of Defense to be more active and effective in addressing.
Sure. That's good. I'm very glad to hear that. Certainly it's unfortunate that these things happen, but we know that they're going to happen, and so it's wonderful that things are actually being done about it. Obviously, we'd like to see it never happen, but
yes.
And I know that that people that obviously this is a question that you probably can't answer because the data would be very difficult to gather. But certainly I know that that it can be very difficult for somebody, which is obviously people typically in the military now are not openly gay, but people can have mannerisms that will be either correctly or incorrectly mistaken, and they can be identified as being sort of within our community, within the LGBT community. And I know sometimes those people are assaulted and treated very badly by their fellow soldiers, and I'm assuming that you probably see some of that, but there's probably no way to know for sure exactly what is going on if we can't talk about it. So
correct. I have no way of beginning to know what the numbers look like for that. Sadly, I have provided treatment for some veterans who had that experience. That's the bad news. The good news is that somehow they were able to get connected with the Vet Center, and I was able to assist them. It is also possible, and it's another whole long dialogue to go into explaining what goes into filing and being rated for service-connected disability. But if someone is continuing to experience symptoms as a result of their sexual trauma, they are eligible to file for a service-connected disability related to that trauma. Sure. And so, the monthly, whatever their percentage is, they'll get a monthly payment and then increased availability of ongoing healthcare services. Mm-hmm. And that can be not only very useful and helpful for improving someone's quality of life, but the possibility of also some validation.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that. And that would apply to even somebody that was discharged.
Yes. For
being within somebody that was gay or lesbian.
As long as a person has an honorable discharge, they can file for those benefits.
Wow. That's really, in light of a sort of a bad situation, that's a wonderful thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm very happy to hear.
Well, it's reassuring to see, the attempt to make good of something that has happened, and sort of owning the problem, saying, okay, this the government saying, well, okay, we bear a certain responsibility for this, like you said, allowed this to happen, and certain recognition that.
Sure. And
it's the under-responsiveness, I think, was the issue. It was interesting. I believe it was 91 or 92 when the legislation was originally passed, mandating that, I think it's vet centers and VA, I have to go back and look at the history, were mandated to provide service for military sexual trauma survivors for women. And then the men's advocates got busy and said, excuse me, we're not paying attention to a piece here.
This is gender discrimination.
Sure.
Right. See, I do remember several years ago, and it may be the early 90s, there were a couple of highly publicized incidents where a drill sergeant had relations with a female trainee or trainees, and the ruling was that a drill sergeant cannot have consensual relations with a trainee because of that position of extreme authority
Sure.
that you have in the military. And I thought that was,
It's sort of insightful, isn't it?
it is,
Yeah.
sort of an abuse of power.
Abuse of power, absolutely. Yeah.
Just one more thought, give a little plug for Gary Trudeau and his Doonesbury comic strip. He has introduced several characters in the past couple years, and one of the characters is Melissa. She is a helicopter mechanic. She's a very good helicopter mechanic, and she is, I think she in the strip she's doing her second tour of duty. On her first tour of duty, she experienced military sexual trauma.
Wow.
And she wound up going to Walden Vet Center, where she ran into BD, who had lost his leg in Iraq. He was an officer. And so the reason I'm just giving a grateful shout out to Mr. Trudeau is because I think he's really advocating for the needs of veterans and trying to educate the American public through his strip with great humor and realism, and also bringing these topics to the fore, and has done a really wonderful job of presenting the issues through these characters. So if anybody is interested in exploring a little bit more, they can just pull up that comic strip online and check that out, and you'll find out about vet centers too, because he's got it going on there.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Well, I wanted to ask you a question about maybe some of the less dramatic parts of the readjustment process. I know being down here around Groton and the Navy sub base, you inevitably get to know some of the Navy wives and husbands who are here at home, and their spouses go out to sea for 6 or 8 or 12 months and then come back. And there seems to be this this sense that I can only imagine is intensified when they actually get deployed and come home. That when they come home, in a lot of cases, it feels like for them, time at home has stopped.
Yes.
They left on Monday, they came home on Tuesday. Whereas, of course, whomever they left here when they got deployed or went out to sea has been struggling for 6 or 8 months with the daily life.
Right.
And I guess what I'm curious about it is for folks that are having, I don't want to say more mundane, but more mundane relationship, marital issues, stresses on the relationship. You guys also deal with that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So anyone who's out there, I wanted to make sure so we can let them know that you don't have to be on the real serious, severe end of trauma to call and go to the website that Reggie will put back up in a minute and ask for help. That there's a lot of aspects of reintegrating into normal civilian life that your organization can help with.
Absolutely, and that's why we choose to use the term readjustment counseling, because it covers all of this, and it does cover the service member coming back and the family has moved on, and the service member has really gotten used to the military environment and military speak and responsible for certain things and talking in a certain way, and the family has had to accommodate and change and divide chores and decision making, and it's a little bit of a shock for everybody trying to pull it together. And then if you add on top of that a physiological change that can occur as a result of being under very remarkable stress